You're trying to stay ahead of the AI curve, aren't you? It's tough.
Uh-huh.
All the breathless announcements, these shiny new models,
Mm.
it can feel like a tidal wave.
Yeah, absolutely overwhelming sometimes.
So let's try to, make some sense of the current surge. Let's focus specifically on DeepSeek's upcoming R2 model.
Okay.
There's a growing murmur, bit of buzz, that it might just, well, ruffle the feathers of the big players, like
Mm-hmm.
OpenAI.
Indeed. And for this deep dive, we've waded through the usual mix, haven't we?
We have.
You've got these excitable YouTube analyses, channels like AI Revolution, the iGrid.
Right.
Then there's the real-time stuff, often unfiltered takes on Reddit. Our Bard, Our Local Lemma.
Always interesting reads there.
And of course, more measured articles too. Headlines like DeepSeek R2 could outperform OpenAI in coding. And another one, DeepSeek R2, AI challenging OpenAI with 40 times higher efficiency.
40 times. We'll get to that.
We will. We also saw reports clarifying release date speculation, like one saying, DeepSeek denies rumor, release of R2 model on March 17th is false.
Ah, okay. So managing expectations.
Exactly. It's that typical blend of informed projections and just the collective buzz, the hype from the AI community.
So our goal here, it's pretty straightforward, really. We want to get a clear picture of the claims around DeepSeek R2,
Mm-hmm.
especially this much talked about efficiency and its overall capabilities.
Right.
We need to understand how the industry is reacting, to this potential shakeup, and ultimately what it could mean for the future of AI development
Right.
and, who gets to play.
Yeah, accessibility is key.
Okay, so let's unpack that central claim, the one that's really got people talking, this supposed leap in efficiency.
Right, the headline claim. And it's quite a bold one. DeepSeek R2 could be up to 40 times more cost-efficient than OpenAI's current models.
40 times.
That figure, it's coming from analysts at Bernstein. Now look, if even a fraction of that holds true, it could fundamentally alter the economics of AI. I mean, for listeners, this could mean a future where access to really powerful AI isn't just for those with deep pockets for computing costs.
Right, not gated by these huge expenses.
Exactly. Imagine integrating cutting-edge models into your workflows without needing, massive infrastructure investment.
That would be a game changer. But 40 times more efficient?
Yeah.
That's a staggering claim. What's the supposed secret sauce here? How are they claiming this efficiency?
Well, it seems to be a mix of things. Sophisticated architectural choices, for one.
Okay.
And also a rather strategic, very early move in buying hardware.
The hardware angle.
Yeah. So architecturally, DeepSeek is reportedly using technologies like mixture of experts MOE and also multi-head latent attention, or MLA.
Okay, MOE and MLA. Break those down a bit.
So think of MOE. It's like an AI model that has a panel of specialized experts inside it.
Right.
Instead of one huge model trying to do everything, only the most relevant experts within the model get activated for a particular query.
Targeted activation, so it saves compute power.
Exactly, saves computational resources.
Yeah.
And MLA, that lets the model process different bits of the input at the same time, focusing its attention more effectively on the critical parts.
Like skimming, but for AI,
Yeah.
focusing on the key sentences.
Kind of, yeah. Like reading a paragraph and instantly focusing on the main points without giving every single word the same weight. It's about efficient attention.
So basically, a smarter way of allocating the model's resources. And what about this hardware advantage you mentioned? That sounds crucial.
Oh, it is. It's another really critical piece. DeepSeek's backer, this hedge fund called Highflyer,
Right.
they made a significant and very early investment in AI infrastructure. They bought roughly 10,000 NVIDIA A100 chips.
10,000. Wow. When was this?
Back in 2020 and 2021. And this was before the stricter U.S. export controls on advanced hardware to China really took hold.
Timing is everything.
Absolutely. So they essentially locked down a huge amount of high-performance computing power at a really opportune moment that gave them a considerable head start hardware-wise.
That does seem like a shrewd move. So, okay, let's assume these efficiency claims are, let's say, even partly legitimate. What are the wider implications? Who really stands to gain here?
The impact could be significant, really far-reaching. I mean, obviously, drastically lower running costs could attract smaller businesses, startups.
Who are the ones currently priced out?
Right, the ones who find the most advanced AI models just too expensive right now. But honestly, it's probably going to appeal to the big players, too.
You think so? Even the giants?
Sure. Imagine being able to deploy powerful AI at, a fraction of the current cost. That could mean huge savings for them and maybe enable entirely new applications across loads of industries.
Okay, so cost is a huge factor. But beyond just the cost, what about the actual capabilities of R2? Are we expecting significant performance upgrades too?
Absolutely. The report suggests we should expect enhancements in two really crucial areas: coding capabilities,
Oh, coding. That's big.
very big, and also reasoning, but specifically in multiple languages.
Ah, multilingual.
Yeah. The expectation is R2 will show a significant jump in handling programming tasks. And given how important coding is everywhere now,
Right, across every sector.
that improvement alone would be a major selling point.
No doubt. And the multilingual aspect.
Yeah,
That feels particularly important today, doesn't it, in our sort of interconnected world?
precisely. While, many top language models right now are still pretty English-centric in their best performance,
Hmm.
DeepSeek R2 is reportedly aiming for more robust reasoning and understanding across a much wider range of languages.
Right.
And that's key if they want to be a truly global contender. It could unlock markets, applications that current AI just hasn't addressed that well.
So potentially better performance and significantly lower costs. That is,
Mhm.
well, that's a compelling package.
It really is.
Now, what about the timeline? When might we actually see R2? The release date seems like a bit of a moving target.
Yeah, that's accurate. There was initial speculation, especially flying around on X, Twitter, and reported by outlets like Pay News, some Reddit users too, pointing towards a surprisingly early release, maybe around March 17th.
March. That would have been really early.
It would. The thinking was maybe DeepSeek wanted to get ahead of anticipated OpenAI releases, like the rumored GPT 4.5 or even GPT-5.
Right, trying to steal a March on them.
Yeah.
But that March date didn't happen, did it?
No, it didn't. DeepSeek officially came out and denied those specific March 17th rumors.
Okay.
But interestingly, that denial didn't really kill the anticipation. The sort of prevailing expectation now still seems to be that R2 could launch in early May, which was kind of the original time frame floated.
Right.
Or maybe even sooner still. This continued buzz just highlights how much potential people see in this model.
Definitely.
So yeah, we're seeing this rapidly evolving landscape where, an early release could give DeepSeek a pretty significant edge.
It certainly creates that sense of a really dynamic, competitive race.
Hmm.
Now, who exactly is DeepSeek? Who's the driving force here? What can you tell us about the company?
Well, the company was founded by Liang Wenfeng. His background is actually in quantitative finance.
Ah, finance. Interesting.
Yeah, and interestingly, the company culture is apparently structured more like a research lab than, say, your typical high-pressure tech startup.
How so?
They're said to have a pretty flat organizational structure, and they're known for offering very competitive salaries to researchers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're talking senior data scientists potentially pulling in around 1.5 million yuan annually. That's a serious investment in talent.
Wow, yeah. That level of investment in research definitely suggests there's serious long-term players in AI development.
Absolutely. And you have to remember that substantial early financial backing from Highflyer, the hedge fund.
Right, the ones who got the chips.
Exactly. They reportedly invested a huge sum, something like 1.5 billion yuan, just building supercomputing AI clusters way back in 2020 and 2021.
So that chip purchase was part of a bigger, earlier strategy.
Yeah, it was part of this early, really aggressive push into AI infrastructure. This early, substantial financial backing has clearly been a key enabler for them to develop models like R1 and now R2.
Okay.
So yeah, you're looking at a well-funded organization, very research-focused, and clearly aiming to disrupt things.
It paints a picture of a well-resourced and research-driven company.
Mm-hmm.
But what's been the broader industry reaction, especially from the established folks like Google and OpenAI? Have they commented?
Initially, there was definitely a degree of skepticism, particularly from Google and OpenAI about DeepSeek's claims for their R1 model, the predecessor to R2.
Skepticism about what? The efficiency?
Yeah, efficiency, performance. There were even some whispers, about whether DeepSeek might have somehow leveraged or used distillation from ChatGPT's infrastructure.
Distillation, meaning like copying or training off ChatGPT.
Kind of, like taking a smaller, less capable version maybe and training it to be more specialized rather than building completely new tech from the ground up. But DeepSeek has always maintained their tech is proprietary, genuine innovation.
Okay. And how have governments reacted? You mentioned different approaches.
Yes, there's a really noticeable contrast there. Within China, DeepSeek seems to be getting significant support.
Right.
We're seeing increasing integration, municipal governments, energy companies, big names like Lenovo, BYD, Tencent, they're reportedly incorporating DeepSeek's tech.
Okay, strong domestic support.
Yeah, there were even reports suggesting the Chinese government advised DeepSeek to keep a lower international media profile.
Huh, interesting. And the reaction in the West?
More cautious.
Definitely more cautious, sometimes even restrictive. We've seen reports governments like South Korea, Italy, placing restrictions on or even removing apps based on DeepSeek's tech.
Why? What are the stated reasons? It often centers on privacy concerns and anxieties about potential misuse of these advanced AI models. Things like social engineering, spreading misinformation.
Usual fears with powerful AI.
Exactly. It really highlights those complex ethical, societal questions that come with this tech. And these differing government reactions, they could really shape the future, maybe leading to a more fragmented AI landscape globally, different rules for data.
It's a complicated picture for sure. And DeepSeek isn't the only one making waves, right? There's competition popping up elsewhere too.
That's right. Alibaba, for example, they recently put out their open source video AI model called 1.2.1.
Video AI, like OpenAI's Sora.
Exactly. And interestingly, reports suggest Alibaba's model is actually outperforming Sora on certain video generation benchmarks.
Really? Outperforming Sora?
On some specific benchmarks, yes. It just underscores that the AI race isn't only about language models. It's heating up across different areas: video, image, audio. So yeah, while DeepSeek is challenging OpenAI on language, you've got Alibaba stepping up in video. It shows just how broad the innovation push is right now.
Okay, so while DeepSeek is making this push, OpenAI isn't just, sitting on its hands. How are they responding to all this increased competition?
Not at all, no. OpenAI has been actively making moves, refining their strategy. One big thing was expanding access to their deep research tool.
Deep research, right? That was limited before.
Yeah, it was restricted to their highest paying subscribers. But now, all paid ChatGPT users, plus Team Enterprise, they get access, albeit with a limited number of uses per month.
And what does deep research actually do?
It's designed to generate these really detailed reports. It can be quite resource intensive, sometimes takes a while to compile,
Okay.
but it offers potentially more thorough reasoning, and now it includes images in its citations, trying to give more comprehensive support for research tasks.
So trying to add more value for their paying customers.
Yeah.
But wasn't there some caution around that tool, about its persuasive abilities?
Yes, that's a really crucial point. OpenAI has been quite public about acknowledging potential persuasion risks with deep research.
Persuasion risks, like it could manipulate people.
Potentially, yes. They've indicated it could possibly be used to subtly, powerfully influence beliefs and opinions. And because of those concerns, they've decided to hold off on releasing an API version for now.
An API version meaning developers could build it into other apps.
Exactly. They're actively reevaluating how to even test for real-world persuasion effectively. Thinking about scenarios where AI might generate highly personalized content to sway opinions on a large scale. They even did internal tests, apparently, to see if the model could persuade other AIs to do things. And while it showed some ability, they're clearly being careful before making it widely available to developers.
That sounds responsible, actually, considering the potential impact.
It does highlight a responsible approach, considering the societal implications.
Okay, so responsible caution on deep research. What other moves from OpenAI recently?
Well, they also rolled out a preview of ChatGPT's advanced voice mode to free users.
The talking ChatGPT.
Pretty much, yeah. That feature used to be only for paying subscribers. It lets you have more natural voice chats, you can speak your questions, even interrupt the AI.
Like a real conversation.
Closer to it, yeah. It's powered by a version of the GPT-4o model, optimized for speech. There are daily usage limits for free users, of course.
Naturally.
But it's a big step in making those more advanced conversational features accessible to more people. Could change how a lot of people interact with AI daily.
Definitely sounds like a user-friendly upgrade. And there were also those rumors. Apple and OpenAI potentially collaborating.
Yes, those reports have been circulating. Speculation is it might involve integrating ChatGPT tech to enhance Siri or other AI voice interactions on Apple devices.
Siri getting a major upgrade.
That's the idea being floated. But, at this point, it's still unconfirmed, just rumors. We'll need an official announcement to know if that partnership is real.
Okay, so lots happening on the OpenAI front too. Clearly not stagnant. It's a very dynamic, very competitive landscape.
Absolutely.
Now, let's circle back to DeepSeek's potential advantages. I saw something about their approach to reinforcement learning, specifically for coding.
Ah, yes, that's a fascinating detail. Came up in discussions on RBARD, I think. Apparently, DeepSeek's R1 model.
The previous one.
Right. It already hit performance levels in coding and on benchmarks like SWE bench that were comparable to OpenAI's models.
Okay.
And this is the key bit that was apparently achieved without fully utilizing reinforcement learning, or RL.
Wow. Okay. That's impressive on its own. So what are the plans for R2 then regarding RL? Are they adding it in?
The info suggests they're actively working on integrating RL much more effectively, specifically for software engineering tasks.
Right.
See, the challenge with RL for coding has often been the evaluation time. It takes a while to figure out if the generated code is good, which slows down the learning.
Makes sense.
So DeepSeek is reportedly planning to use techniques like rejection sampling.
Re-
Basically, generate multiple code samples, quickly pick the best ones, and focus the training on those. And also asynchronous evaluations, letting different parts of the learning process happen at the same time to speed things up.
Okay, so optimization techniques.
Exactly. The roadmap, as described, suggests R2 will represent a significant optimization in coding, more than a fundamental algorithm change. And coding, with its clear outputs and tons of data, is seen as a really good fit for RL.
So they're looking to really sharpen their existing coding strength using smarter training methods. Interesting. Now, one of the more, well, intriguing things I came across was this idea of self-improving AI, something DeepSeek is reportedly exploring.
Yes, that comes from a research paper DeepSeek put out recently. It was highlighted in a video by the A-Grid. The paper talks about self-improving AI models using something they call inference timescaling for generous reward modeling, GRM.
Okay. Generous reward modeling. Sounds technical. Can you break that down a bit?
Sure. In essence, the goal is to get the AI itself to become better at answering questions over time, sort of learning from its own evaluations.
Okay.
Their approach involves training one AI, let's call it the GOM judge, to evaluate how good the answers from another AI are.
Like a teacher AI.
Sort of. But the innovation with this GRM judge is that it doesn't just give a score, like 8 out of 10. It actually explains why an answer is good or bad, based on a set of principles it's learned.
Ah, so it provides reasoning for its judgment.
Precisely. Much more nuanced, detailed feedback than just a number.
Okay, so how do they train this judge AI to give good feedback?
They use reinforcement learning for that too, a technique they call SPCT. The judge AI basically practices evaluating answers and gets rewarded when its judgments are accurate and helpful.
Okay, got it. Now, what about the inference scaling part?
Right, that comes in when the trained GRM judge is asked to evaluate a specific answer multiple times. They call this sampling.
So instead of one opinion, you get several.
Exactly. You might get, say, 5 or 10 different judgments on the same answer. Then these multiple judgments are combined, maybe through simple voting. Or, and this is clever, by using another smaller AI, a meta-RM, which actually evaluates the quality of the critiques from the main judge.
Whoa, okay, an AI judging the judge's judgments.
Essentially, yes. The meta-RM figures out which critiques are most insightful or well-reasoned and gives those more weight in the final assessment.
So by having the judge evaluate multiple times and then having this meta-judge assess those evaluations, they're aiming for a more reliable, accurate final score.
Exactly that. The claim is this whole process, especially with the meta-RM helping pick the best critiques, leads to a much more robust final judgment than just asking the judge AI once.
And how does this compare to other models?
Well, interestingly, DeepSeek's research suggests that their medium-sized GRM judge, using this inference scaling, it could potentially outperform even much larger AIs like GPT-4o when those big models are just used as a judge once.
Wow. So better judgment from a smaller model, used smarter.
That's the idea. And this research obviously has potentially big implications for the kind of advanced capabilities we might see baked into DeepSeek R2. It suggests a pathway to creating AI that can learn and improve more autonomously.
It really sounds like they're pushing boundaries, not just in model architecture, but in how AI models can be evaluated and maybe even self-improve. Fascinating stuff.
It really is.
So as we wrap up here, what are the key takeaways from this deep dive into DeepSeek R2 and its potential ripples in the AI pond?
Okay, I think the primary takeaways are these. First, DeepSeek R2 is generating massive excitement because of its potential for significantly greater cost efficiency, maybe up to 40 times better than current leaders like GPT-4.
Right, the efficiency claim.
That efficiency is apparently down to clever architecture, MOE, MLA, and that strategic early hardware buy.
NVIDIA chips.
Exactly. Second, beyond just cost, R2 is expected to bring enhanced coding skills and better multilingual reasoning. That positions it as a serious global competitor.
Hmm.
And third, there's this strong anticipation for a potentially earlier than expected release, maybe getting ahead of OpenAI's next big models.
And DeepSeek itself, the company.
Yeah.
They seem to have a pretty distinctive approach, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. With that research lab culture, the flat structure, the big money backing, they operate differently. And they're clearly innovating on the training and evaluation side, too, like with that self-improving AI research using GRM and influence scaling.
And also noted the very different reactions around the world. Strong support in China, more caution, even restrictions
Yeah,
elsewhere.
that's a critical point. It highlights the whole geopolitical and ethical side of advanced AI. And we shouldn't forget the broader competition folks like Alibaba making strides in other areas like video AI. It's not just a two-horse race.
No, definitely not. So it really feels like the stage is set for some potentially big shifts in the AI landscape. Given DeepSeek's focus on efficiency, open research, this intriguing self-improvement angle, it does raise some big questions about where AI is heading.
It really does.
Yeah.
What are the broader implications here for actually democratizing AI? Could DeepSeek's focus on cost really kickstart a new wave of AI adoption, bringing it to more users, more organizations?
Or will the established players manage to hold on?
Exactly. How will the established leaders respond? Will things like brand recognition, existing infrastructure, will those prove more decisive in the long run? Or could the raw performance and, crucially, the affordability of models like DeepSeek R2 genuinely reshape the balance of power in tech?
Lots to think about.
Definitely a space to watch very, very closely.